I'm a super fan and I didn't even know half of these. Hey guys, it's Phoebe from WatchMojo. Today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 behind-the-scenes facts about Game of Thrones. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. We're taking a look at interesting behind-the-scenes facts about this hit HBO series. And if you need more Game of Thrones, don't forget to check out our playlist. Let's take a look. Number 10. Daenerys Targaryen was insulted with Monty Python quotes.
What is he doing?
In the Season 4 episode Breaker of Chains, Daenerys attempts to take the city of Meereen. When she arrives, a champion greets her, a warrior selected by the Masters of Meereen to best a champion of Dany's choosing in single combat. As this man waits for Daenerys to decide, he hurls insults at her from a distance. If you happen to speak Low Valyrian, you'll be pleasantly surprised to discover that he's using quotes from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Some of his zingers include, "Your mother was a hamster," and "I blow my nose at you." Dang, that's harsh.
I fart in your general direction!
Number 9. The actor who plays Aemon Targaryen was really blind.
When winter does come, gods help us all if we're not ready.
Seeing as how Game of Thrones revolves around fantastical plot devices like ice zombies, dragons, and magic, it would be easy to assume that keeping things real isn't a top priority. However, Peter Vaughn, the actor who played the Night's Watch blind Maester Aemon from Season 1 through 5, was in fact blind, at least partially. Vaughn had a lengthy film and television career that began all the way back in 1931. However, the older he got, the worse his vision became. And when he signed up to play Aemon Targaryen in 2011, his sight had severely deteriorated.
I'm a master of the Citadel, bound in service to Castle Black and the Night's Watch.
Number 8. Sophie Turner adopted her character's Direwolf. One of the most jarring early moments from Season 1 of Game of Thrones was when Ned Stark was forced to kill Sansa's direwolf, Lady, to appease the Queen's rage. When the canine character no longer had a place on the show, that didn't mean it no longer had a place in Sophie Turner's heart. During production, Turner grew extremely close to Lady, whose real name is Zuni, so when it came time to say goodbye, instead, she and her family adopted the Malak Northern Inuit dog. The two have been inseparable ever since.
The direwolf is a sigil of your house. We were meant to have them.
Number 7. The show helped save rare pigs and their farm.
Of course, they wanted the older breeds and the older type of animals. They didn't want your modern breeds, which would look totally out of place.
If there's one thing that Game of Thrones is synonymous with, it's death. So it was quite surprising to learn that during production, the show actually helped save a rare breed of pig. Iron Age pigs have been used regularly on the series due to their uniquely medieval look. For centuries, they've been bred on Fort Hill Farm in Northern Ireland by the Gracie family. According to owner Kenny Gracie, quote, "Farming has taken a downturn. Costs are too high and we're not getting enough for our produce. Thankfully for him and his pigs, the show's need for traditional animals has helped keep his farm afloat."
Game of Thrones has been one of the major assets to us in helping us survive.
Number 6. Thomas Brodie Sangster was a decade older than his character.
Sometimes in my dreams,
Three-eyed raven.
You've seen it.
We saw them together. You haven't forgotten.
When it comes to sticking to the source material, Game of Thrones doesn't exactly have the best track record. For instance, in the books, many of the main characters are teenagers, but in the show, they're played by actors and actresses in their 20s and 30s. A prime example is Thomas Brodie Sangster, who landed the role of Jojen Reed in 2013. In the books, Reed is described as being 13 years old, whereas when Brodie Sangster was playing him, he was already 23, a full 10 years older. Hey, if your looks allow you to play younger, go for it.
Come with me or die with him.
Go with them.
Number 5. The actors who play Bronn and Cersei Lannister used to date. Before they were castmates on one of TV's most popular shows, Jerome Flynn and Lena Headey were reportedly an item. The two dated in the early 2000s, but things didn't end well, and according to a handful of sources, they're no longer on speaking terms. This had obviously posed a problem for the producers of Game of Thrones, as Bronn and Cersei's peers regularly cross paths. Keeping them apart hasn't been easy, although eagle-eyed viewers will be quick to note that in the Season 7 episode The Dragon and the Wolf, Bronn exited the meeting with Cersei early so that the two wouldn't have to share screen time. Must have been a really bad breakup.
Let's you and me go have a drink while the fancy folks talk, eh?
Number 4. Charles Dance skinned an actual deer for a scene.
Poor Ned Stark. Brave man, terrible judgment.
Attacking him was stupid.
You only get one chance to make a first impression. For multiple seasons, Charles Dance was one of Game of Thrones' most imposing characters. His no-nonsense portrayal of Tywin Lannister terrified viewers on a weekly basis. Part of the reason he was so effective in the role was his, how should we say this, hands-on approach. When Tywin is first introduced to viewers, he's in the middle of skinning a deer, something that Dance actually did with a real deer. According to him, it was one of the highlights of his time on the show. Not our cup of tea, but still pretty cool.
It's the family name that lives on. It's all that lives on. Not your personal glory, not your honor, but family. Do you understand?
Number 3. Emilia Clarke was accidentally glued to an on-set toilet.
She has to eat a whole heart. Hope that wasn't my balls.
One of the most iconic scenes from Season 1 had an unintended consequence for Emilia Clarke. The scene in question called for Daenerys to eat a horse heart, which was actually just a giant gummy covered in corn syrup. Fake blood is notoriously sticky, however, and when combined with a giant sticky gummy heart, well, you have a recipe for one seriously sticky disaster. By the time she was done shooting, Clarke was covered in sticky substances, and when she went to the washroom, she ended up getting stuck to the toilet. How she managed to get off is anyone's guess, but we can only imagine it involved a pretty embarrassing conversation with one of her coworkers.
She truly is a queen today.
Number 2. Some big-name stars almost nabbed key roles.
Kill every Targaryen I get my hands on.
You can't get your hands on this one, can you?
Throughout Game of Thrones' run, we've seen no shortage of recognizable faces come and go, but there have been numerous instances in which some of Hollywood's biggest stars nearly secured a spot on GOT, only to turn it down or be denied. The X-Files' Gillian Anderson and The Wire's Dominic West both turned down unspecified roles on the show. Additionally, Sam Claflin, best known for his portrayal of Finnick Odair in the Hunger Games franchise, auditioned for the roles of Jon Snow and Viserys Targaryen, only to be denied by producers. Of course, he would go on to star opposite Emilia Clarke in the romantic drama Me Before You, so it all worked out in the end.
You look beautiful.
Well, you don't look so shabby yourself.
Number 1. Daenerys Targaryen and Catelyn Stark were played by different actors in the pilot.
She doesn't know what she's saying.
Lysa's head would be on a spike right now if the wrong people had found that letter.
Game of Thrones got off to a rocky start in 2009. The original pilot, which featured Tamsin Merchant of the Tudors fame in the role of Daenerys, and Jennifer Ely in the role of Catelyn Stark, was poorly received by test audiences, forcing HBO to demand that it be reshot with different actors. As such, Merchant and Ely were replaced by Emilia Clarke and Michelle Fairley. Other notable close calls included Aemon Targaryen almost being cast in the role of Jon Snow, and Carice Van Houten almost playing Cersei. Of course, they would both later appear on the show as Ramsay Bolton and the Red Woman, respectively.
For the night is dark and full of terrors.
If you're a diehard Game of Thrones fan like me, don't forget to check out our playlist on all things Westeros. And keep an eye out for me in the comments because I'll be posting some behind-the-scenes facts that didn't quite make the cut. See you next time!